If you walk onto the factory floor of Tesla's flagship Fremont plant in early 2026, well, you won't see their most famous luxury cars being built.
Right, you'll actually see assembly lines being ripped out.
Exactly. They're making room for humanoid robots.
Mm.
Welcome to today's deep dive into a 2026 strategic evaluation of Tesla. We're looking at how they are executing this incredibly high-risk transition from a traditional car manufacturer to a physical AI and energy conglomerate. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
If you think you understand Tesla just because you see their cars on the road, you really need to hear what is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, because to really grasp this new version of the company, we have to look at the legacy business that they are, frankly, actively dismantling. I mean, look at 2025.
Right, when the Chinese automaker BYD definitively took the global EV crown.
Exactly. BYD moved 2.26 million units compared to Tesla's 1.64 million. But Tesla's response wasn't to fight harder for that volume. Instead, they are literally shutting down Model S and X production at Fremont in Q2 of 2026.
Wait, they're just shutting it down entirely?
Yeah, to rapidly repurpose that exact floor space for Optimus Gen 3 humanoid robots.
Wow. It's like Apple pausing Mac production to build the first iPhone. But, I mean, I have to push back here. Is prioritizing the Cybercab actually brilliant or just reckless?
Yeah.
Because they paused Project Redwood, right?
Yeah, the planned $25,000 everyday family car.
Right. They paused that for a two-seater with no steering wheel and no pedals.
Right.
Are they just, ignoring what normal families actually need?
Well, it's a highly calculated bet. They view traditional car manufacturing as a race to the bottom now. It's increasingly dominated by hyper-efficient supply chains like BYD's. So Tesla believes their monopolistic edge isn't in bending metal anymore. It's in unsupervised autonomy and physical AI.
But, developing physical AI requires unfathomable compute power. You need these massive data centers to train the neural networks.
Oh, absolutely. And staggering amounts of electricity.
Exactly. So how do you fund and power a $1 trillion AI gamble while your core automotive sales shrink? The answer actually isn't on the highway at all. It's on the power grid. They just cracked dry electrode battery manufacturing.
Which is a huge deal.
Right, because historically you had to mix these materials into a wet slurry and bake them in massive energy-hungry ovens. But Tesla figured out how to bind the materials completely dry. That instantly chops 30% off the cost and shrinks the factory footprint.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how that battery tech is actually being deployed. Tesla's mega packs are acting as the backbone for those exact massive AI data centers we just talked about, like xAI's Colossus facility in Memphis.
Oh yeah, power spikes there are insane.
Totally. It requires an extra 300 megawatt hours of battery storage just to manage those spikes. Tesla is essentially building the fuel tanks for the AI compute revolution.
And then you have AutoBidder, which is like their hidden software mode. Instead of just, selling static batteries, AutoBidder autonomously trades electricity on the wholesale market.
Yeah, buying power when it's cheap and selling when the grid is stressed.
Right. It turns a battery into a dynamic, high-frequency financial asset.
It is a brilliant financial engine, for sure. But we have to talk about the existential risks, because this entire $1 trillion vision rests on two incredibly fragile pillars: government regulation and public perception.
Yeah, like the NHTSA and DOJ escalating investigations into their camera-only full self-driving system.
Exactly.
Because they completely stripped out the radar and ultrasonic sensors a while ago.
Right. So if regulators decide that optical cameras get blinded by fog or sun glare, and they legally mandate a hardware recall, well, they'd force Tesla to retrofit LiDAR, those expensive laser-based systems. If that happens, the entire hardware-ready thesis of the Cybercab collapses instantly.
That's a massive vulnerability.
Yeah.
And, even if Tesla's autonomous vision survives the federal regulators, there's a completely separate vulnerability threatening their cash flow.
Right.
The consumers themselves. And I need to be really clear with you all listening. We're not taking sides here, left-wing or right-wing. We're just impartially reporting the source data we have for this deep dive.
Right. Just purely looking at the consumer data.
Yes. And the data shows that CEO Elon Musk's political involvement, like with the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, has fundamentally polarized the brand. Consumer sentiment data actually shows a 17% drop in Model Y registrations in key markets like California.
Which is incredibly significant. When a brand shifts from a universal eco-mission to a highly charged personality brand, they risk alienating the exact demographic funding their AI research. It's an entirely self-inflicted vulnerability that directly threatens the cash flow needed to build those supercomputers.
So what does this all mean? Why should you care if you never plan to buy a Tesla or hail a cybercab. Because Tesla's technology is increasingly stabilizing your local power grid, and their robotics division may soon automate your local supply chains.
Yeah, they really are transitioning from a consumer product manufacturer into a foundational infrastructure holding company.
Right. Which leaves us with a pretty wild scenario to think about. If Tesla's auto bidder is actively controlling the energy flows of the local power grid, and their Optimus robots eventually take over industrial labor, what are the implications of a single private entity silently running the foundational infrastructure of a modern city?